Hey, welcome to another episode of Done Dissertation Office Hours, where we talk with researchers, doctoral students, and folks in the field who have used their doctorate to do great work. And also, we want to talk with them about what was their journey like? How did they get to the place they are today? So, my name is Dr. Ramon Goings, founder of Done Dissertation, where we demystify the dissertation process so that doctoral students can write and defend their dissertation in 1 year or less. What I wanted to do today is introduce you to a very special guest because my goal with this show is always to bring you all folks who are in the field doing amazing work, but leveraging their doctorate. So today we have a very special guest, Dr. Shamieka Dean, who is CEO of Next Level Business Academy and author of the best-selling book, Market Like a Mogul. And again, this is someone I wanted to bring to you so we can talk about all things business and all things about how do we leverage our doctorate to make impact and income. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Dean. Dr. Dean, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good, good, good. So thank you so much for being on the show. So real quick, if you can just introduce yourself to the audience, tell a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Awesome. So I am Dr. Shamieka Dean. I am your favorite marketing solutionist. I help service-based entrepreneurs to expand their expertise through signature program creation. And then I help them to develop a marketing and automation plan so that they can launch once or twice a year to make multiple six figures in their business.
That is dope. So I hope folks are listening because we want to get to this automation piece. I know people are trying to figure out, especially in higher ed, like how can I make more with less work, essentially. So I'm glad to have this conversation with you. But I think when people see the final product and the work that you do, it's always a backstory of how you got here to this point. So if you can talk a little bit about like your education journey and like what brought you to this point. Were you always interested in schooling? Were you always just someone who wanted to or imagined themselves getting a doctorate at some point?
No, absolutely not. I really just decided that, I'm just kind of one of those people, if I'm going to go for it, I may as well go all the way, right? No half stepping it. Like, what's the highest point that I can get to? And, that was my journey. I believe that, just continue to expand your education. It just puts you in a position to increase your exposure so that you can really impact more lives. So it really wasn't about the title per se for me. It's really just my opportunity to position myself so that I can reach more people, get into other doors, to really make a greater impact. Because that's really when we think about what we do, there's always a purpose for it. And the purpose that in which I do everything is really to just change lives. And so I wanted to make sure that I educated myself as much as I possibly could so that I can increase my impact.
And so you mentioned, about doors being open. Can you talk a little bit about, because I think a lot of folks who are pursuing their education are trying to figure out what doors are open once I finish. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it went from, me getting local opportunities to speak in local places to me landing partnerships and speaking on platforms such as Thinkific, TubeBuddy. I've been on Steve Harvey. Um, graced the cover of magazines and, had an opportunity to be on television, so it really opens a lot of doors for you that you
Right.
wouldn't ordinarily have been able to walk into. And also putting you into the rooms of other like-minded individuals, so that you can continue to build those connections as well.
No, that's great. And so with that, I want to talk a little bit about like the business side, right? So, folks are cool going through their programs, finishing up, but then they're looking like, what do I do now that I'm a recognized expert in whatever area? How do I package this and, make money? I think a lot of people are trying to figure that part out. They figure they have the expertise, but they can't figure out how to package it. And so like, what strategies or advice do you give the folks who are trying to figure out how do I package my expertise?
Right. So, when it comes to packaging it, you're really just creating a solution that provides a transformation in the lives of other people. And I think what we don't realize in our everyday lives and the career paths that we choose is that we have really been giving this level of expertise for many many years, but the value that we really truly bring to the table, we're not really being fairly compensated for that, right? And
Hmm.
so, understanding that all of the experience, not just even on your job, but the education, right? So what you learned when you were on that journey of your doctoral journey or what have you, that there's years of experience that you have, and where you may think that it's something small or insignificant, it is life changing for the person that you pouring that into, right? And
Yeah.
so I often have my clients to really think back on the moments that they have shared a piece of their expertise with someone and it has changed their lives, right? And so how do you take it and package that? There's actually a process that you had to go through to even be able to deliver this piece of information to them that has now changed their life. So what was that process that you had to go through? If you think about it in, on a progressive path or just
Yeah.
steps 1, 2, and 3, what does that look like? And that's how you're able to begin packaging that expertise. And I teach them how to take that expertise and package it into a signature program, which is a full solution for transformation that you can actually create multiple offers and opportunities to change people's lives, where you're not increasing your time, but you are making more money doing that. So my go-to is always going to be to tell them, let's take this expertise, let's expand it into a signature program so that you can make passive profit, residual revenue, making more money without increasing your time. Like, I highly recommend every person, no matter what industry you're in, to create that, because that is literally the gift that keeps on giving.
And so, you teaching people how to do that. Like, what did your journey look like? So did you start always helping folks build their business, or were you doing something different and kind of built your own, a different business and then got into the business side of coaching folks? Like, what did that journey look like for you?
So my journey, I tell people I didn't choose entrepreneurship, it chose me, right? I was fired from the job that people want. I was climbing up the corporate ladder,
Sure.
and my initial goal was, let me get to the CEO, let me be the head honcho of someone else's company. And on the day that I was supposed to be getting my annual review, they fired me, right? So um it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The same
Mhm.
company that fired me, I literally have my own office space right across the highway from them now, right? So and it wasn't, intentional. It just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
But it put me in a position um to make my annual salary in like a day, like, so I'm thankful for that. But my journey, I did start out as a coach. I actually started out doing women's empowerment.
Okay.
I started a movement called A Mile in My Shoes, the movement. I grew that movement to there were 3 chapters in 3 different cities, over
Wow.
2,500 women. And I did that in like 6 months to a year, maybe, like somewhere in that time frame. And so I started there. I dabbled in speaking a little bit, and I published my first book. People wanted to kind of, you know, um, hear more of the wisdom that I had. So I published a devotional. And how I got into coaching is a funny story. So I got into coaching because my husband and I divorced and remarried, right?
Okay.
So not many people knew this. This was not long after I'd gone through a divorce. I'm sorry, I got divorced, then got fired. So my whole life was just a whole mess, right?
Understood. Understood.
And so I was I was applying for other jobs, and no one would call me back. With all of the experience I had, I should have had, multiple offers. So I went to a Bible study with a friend one night, and there was this apostle there, and he stops and he has a word for me, and he says, you keep applying for jobs, but God says you're going to start your own company.
Mm,
I was like, yeah, he's a liar, because I don't have any business skills or any of that, right?
got you.
So long story short, I then began to ask God, what was my purpose? Like, what was I supposed to do? Because I didn't know my purpose at that point. And so he said to share my story. And that was the story of my husband and I divorcing and remarried. My inbox was flooded with women from just all over the
Wow.
world. Like, what was the journey? How did it happen? How did he get back to this place? So I started sharing that, and women started coming to me wanting me to coach them. And so I actually started out, ironically, as a relationship coach.
Okay.
Um, and so I built my first signature program. It was a relationship coaching program, and the journey from that, it's kind of like a domino effect. You know, you start in one place and you kind of learn what your gifts are, what you're really good at, and all of those things, and you just evolve over time. So that's how it started.
That's interesting. So I think some things I took out of what you mentioned, I think a lot of folks need to kind of think about is just that you lived your truth and you shared what your truth was,
Yeah.
and then people gravitate towards that. It's like
Yep.
being your authentic self was the key to everything.
Every time. I even tell people now as I teach marketing that authenticity is the most powerful marketing strategy you can ever use. You don't have to fake it to make it. I think that we've been taught that in this world that, just fake it to make it. You don't have to fake it to make it because people are looking for truth and they're looking for someone that they can resonate with. And when you're honest and you're walking in your authenticity, you attract your audience to you. And then marketing and selling any product to them is like easy. It's not
Mm.
even difficult because now they trust you because you were authentic and you shared that truth with them.
No, that's so key. But one thing I want to get to as you talk about this, we see a lot, particularly in the online space, with folks kind of giving this facade of something. And so,
Mhm.
how can folks make sure they don't do that? Because folks in the Lambos, they doing all this kind of lifestyle marketing stuff. But is there a time and place for that stuff, or what's your approach to marketing when you kind of see that side of things? I think sometimes folks get caught up in having that be the image they want to portray online.
So many ways I can go with this.
Yeah.
But when I teach lifestyle marketing, I teach people that lifestyle marketing is really just sharing the life that you live. You don't have to pretend. Lifestyle marketing is not limited to luxury lifestyle and labels, right? So for me, I use lifestyle marketing, but my lifestyle marketing is legacy over labels. So
Mhm.
when I showcase that part of my life, I'm showing women that the life that you can have is the one that you choose to build. And for me, it's about building what's really important to you, right? So my family is most important, making sure that my children and my grandchildren and great grandchildren, they don't have to get it out of the mud, right? They don't have to struggle for success. That I can create a blueprint for them and give them a good launching pad so that they can just go and freely flow in their purpose and their passion. So when it comes to, again, lifestyle marketing, it's really not tied or limited to Lamborghinis, labels and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's really about what life means to you, right? What you value, what's most important, what's priority. And you can make millions of dollars if you never take a picture in front of a jet, an airplane, a Lamborghini, or any of that. You don't have to do that. Being true to yourself is what's going to attract people to you. What I've seen happen is people who um, have to fake it to make it, or
Mm.
they present this and it's not really who they are, they have what's called miserable money. So
Mm.
they may have income, but behind the scenes, they're suffering in silence. Behind the scenes, they're broken and burnt out, right? I'm not ever burnt out in my business because I'm really showing y'all the life that I actually live. And I'm not trying to pretend to live a life that does not align with who I really am.
Right.
So that's my advice to anyone who's considering that. If that is not what you truly do, who you truly are, what you truly value, don't do it. It will cause you more misery in the long run.
That's great. And so now I'm assuming this might be part of your journey, right? But talk a bit about how you go from relationship coach to marketing. What was that process like that took you there? Because I feel like some of this is, what you've been talking about probably shows up in your journey from,
Yeah. So for me, as I was doing relationship coaching, you as an entrepreneur, you're a problem solver, right? Like
yeah.
you provide solution to people, and people are paying you to solve their problems. So as I was doing relationship coaching, one of the things that I realized is that the women were finding their identity in their marriage, right? They were finding their marriage became their idol, and they were finding their identity in that, but they were lost. They were unfulfilled because they didn't know who they were. They didn't know their own purpose. And so I started teaching women how to uncover their purpose so that as they are even positioning themselves to be a wife, that they know that they're not tying themselves to someone because they need somebody to complete or validate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as I was teaching purpose coaching, the women were saying, well, how do you start a business? I think I would like to do what you do. So I started teaching them business, how to start your business, how to make your purpose pay you. But again, as I'm like going through this journey, I was trying to find out what is the thing that I'm really good at. Like, why are
Mm,
people really coming to me? Right.
yeah.
Because there are plenty of relationship coaches, plenty of business coaches. And it was ironic because they were all attracted to the way that I marketed. It was the way that you market, like the way you show up online. And I realized that even as I was building my business, what I had the most fun with was actually marketing,
Okay.
creating the that part of it. And I'm just naturally good at it. And the the thing that I never invested in someone teaching me how to do was marketing, but it was a thing I was naturally gifted at. And so that's how I got into this. And even as I teach marketing, I'm realizing that it's the mindset that
Mm,
people, need the most help with. And like as I'm helping them to break through in their mind, they're actually getting the marketing strategies are working, with ease because they're like, oh, I need strategy. I'm like, you really need confidence, right? Like you really need to deal with the fear of rejection or abandonment and those types of things. But I've always been about helping people to get transformation. And so marketing is just one of the tools that I'm able to do that.
that's great. I think one of the pieces, the nuggets there that folks, particularly when I'm, some of my audience that are doc students got to think about is the mindset piece, right?
Mhm,
A lot of what
mhm.
I do with my clients, it's not about the dissertation in a lot of ways. It's actually about the mindset to break it up to really you to see yourself as a scholar. So I think, I guess if when anyone's looking for a transformation, whatever it is, it starts up top and then you can execute the strategies and plan once your
It's
mind is
all mindset. It's all selling is mindset, marketing is mindset, building a business is mindset, writing that dissertation is mindset. It's all mindset. We just have different gifts and how we're able to help you break through, mentally, but it's all mindset. All of my clients, I say, yes, I know you came here for marketing, but let me show you what you really need.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's so
Yeah.
true. And
Yeah.
so from your perspective, you're working with folks with their marketing. What are the like say top three mistakes you're seeing folks do with their marketing, which is kind of leading them towards you?
One of the big things that you talked about is actually authenticity. So I'm huge on authenticity. Um, because I know that for one, people are attracted to who you are and not who you pretend to be.
Mm,
And so a lot of times people will say, why am I attracting people who, don't want to invest or they don't want to pay this certain amount? And I always say, how have you invested that amount? Like, how have you done that? Whether it's through experience, education, or a financial investment, like how have you done that? Right.
mm,
Um, Authenticity. The other mistake that I see them make is consistency, which they think it's a consistency issue, but it's not a consistency issue. And
mm.
so here's how I help them to break through mentally here is I always ask them, do you go to your job every day? They're like, yes. I said, do you like the job? Not really. I said, well, what about your favorite television show? Do you miss a week? No. If I do, I record it. I said, but you still watch it, right? Consistently. Yes. I said, so is consistency really your issue?
Mm.
And so the answer is, well, I'm not showing up online consistently. Okay, so let's deal with why you're not showing up online consistently. So here's my next question. If every time you posted on social media, if every time you went live, someone invested in your program, would you have a problem going live consistently or posting consistently? The answer is a resounding no. So do you have a consistency issue or do you have a confidence issue? So now let's talk about that, right?
Mm.
So that consistency again is not really consistency; is really the confidence, and then the authenticity piece, and then the other thing that I'm seeing that they're stuck at is they don't know how to validate the value of what they're giving people, so
Yeah.
they have a problem with pricing properly. And so I always tell people that pricing is a language
Mm.
and language is a locator. So if you are saying in your messaging that you're going to teach me how to make millions of dollars, right? But your pricing is $27, is that in alignment?
Right.
Right. So now I'm asking, why are you not charging at least five figures if you're going to teach someone to make six figures? Why aren't you not charging at least 4 to 5 figures? Right.
Right.
And so the answer that I often get is, well, I want to make it affordable. Well, affordability is subjective, because who are
Sure
you to
is.
say that this person can't afford to pay $10,000 or what have you. So it's really about that them not really being able to validate the value, so they feel like they're not being integral in their pricing, and they can't really see why someone would pay this amount of money for this particular program, right? So then I ask them, are you projecting?
Mm.
Right? So would you invest this amount in this particular program? Right? And just helping them to do that. And so if you would invest it, then what is the real problem? Okay, so now we're peeling back the layers. There's a fear of rejection there. So who told you that you weren't worth it? Like, who told you that you had to give of yourself
Right.
in order for people to see the value that you have? Right. So my marketing is a bit different, because I'm not just teaching you strategy. I teach marketing from a mindset perspective, because again, once I can help you break through mentally, every marketing strategy I teach you is going to work.
No, that's interesting. Two things that stood out to me from that is just the idea that it is interesting. Some people just don't have confidence in their own product,
They don't.
which is wild. Like, if you're going to
Yeah.
sell something, they just can't imagine selling it for 7, 8, 10, 12,000. So they just don't
Yeah.
have confidence in can they get the result that they're promising with that
Hmm.
product or course or program. That's what, I see it all the time with folks. So that's one piece. But then also the thing I've learned on my business journey, and I want to see if you see it the same way, is that I got rejections at all price points. So
Yeah.
at that point, it just told me not even to worry about the cost. Go where the value is, because you're going to get a rejection whether your cost is 10,000, 5,000, 2,000. Shoot, I sell a book for $25, and not everyone buys it when they go to the page. So,
Exactly.
it's rejection at every level.
Yeah, because we think that the mindset is, if we give more or if we make it lower, it's going to sell more. It's
Hmm.
not fact, because pricing is never a people problem. It's a personal problem. It's
Mm.
not their problem. It's your problem. It's how you're projecting. So now you're self projecting. So what we have to understand when it comes to even investing that amount into ourselves, in order for you to get an ROI, return on investment, you have to take ROI, which is responsibility of the investment,
Mm.
right? So, because I know I'm going to put in the work, I don't have a problem investing, because I'm going to take full responsibility. So I know there's going to be a return, because I know that I'm going to commit to the work, to the process, and to do the work, right? And so this is another reason why I always challenge people to invest at a higher level, because there's a different level of commitment when it costs you more. So what I've learned is, if it doesn't cost you enough, you're not going to commit. It's easy for you to quit when you don't have enough skin in the game, right? So a lot of people look at the price tag. It's not the price tag, it's your level of commitment. So you may be able to say, I can throw away $1,000, I can throw away $500, but if you invest $10,000 and up,
Oh, you
you're
showing
like,
up?
I'm showing up. Every call, every email I'm answering, everything you tell me to do, I'm doing it, because now I have enough skin in the game. It costs me more. So now I'm going to commit at a greater level.
No, that's so important. Yeah, folks, I
And
think
I don't even know if I answered your question
no,
about
no, you got at that. Just in terms of just my observation has been like everyone has rejections at every price point.
on
So
every level, because
I
it's
mean,
not a price. The price is not a personal, it's not a people problem, it's a personal problem. Like, you just have to believe that no matter what you price this at, that people are going to pay for it. Like, it's just that simple. And if they don't, that means that they are not your customers. So if you are consistently getting rejections after you've set a price, then that could be a messaging problem, right?
Mhm.
It could mean that your messaging is not clear enough to let them know what they're going to get. What are the benefits? What's the transformation? What are the tangible takeaways that I will get after I make this investment? Because when people are looking to purchase, they're looking to purchase because they're saying, what's in it for me? Like, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
So if your messaging is not clear, If they're still confused after they've gone to your sales page, if it doesn't connect and they know exactly what they're going to walk away with, if you're not speaking to them in a way that it connects with them, then no, they're not going to invest. So there's always things that you want to kind of analyze, right?
Yeah.
To see, okay, I've had this out here, I've gone live, for 30 days and no one has purchased. That's a clear indication that there's a disconnect somewhere, right? So then you just go through your troubleshooting to identify what is going on, and you're able to fix it, right? You're able to tweak it. So
yeah, folks don't realize about the live thing, or just like talking about the work that you do, like really reaching out to your audience. Because at first I used to not do this years ago, and then when I started to do it consistently, I would get people call and like would buy over the phone. Like, I don't even need to see a sales page. You already talked the talk I need to hear.
can we talk about
Here's
the
my
sales
credit card
page? Like, can we talk about not needing the sales page? I just
Yeah.
had this conversation yesterday with the client, and then I did a live. And my client is launching her offer. She's getting ready. She said, "Oh, well, I don't want to launch it yet because I don't have my sales page." And so I said, "Did you go to a sales page when you signed up for this 5-figure program?" And she said, "I didn't." I said, "Because you don't need a sales page to sell." I said, that is another excuse that you've given yourself, right? Now, there are core components, foundational things that you need to have in place. I said, but if you are giving yourself a reason not to execute, I want you to really ask yourself, is this necessary for me to make this, for me to convert? Is it necessary? Because it's not always the case, right? I did not, when I increased my prices to 5-figure investments, I have not had a sales page. I have literally not had a sales page. I don't send people to a sales page.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not necessary. You get what I'm saying?
Right, definitely. Yeah, folks don't. Yeah, like I saw that I was going live. Somebody called me right after. Like, yeah, I need to join. I need to get my dissertation done. Let me talk.
Mhm.
What's the program look like? We literally talked over the phone. Like, all right, here's my credit card. I was like, wait, hold on. Let me get my stuff together before
Right.
So I think there's something to that, and a lot of folks in my space, really are just concerned about going online. But I'm like, no one knows who you are if you don't speak up and say anything. And I
Yeah.
think that's a key. So, like, I want you to ask you, like, how do you help your clients get over that confidence issue of like putting themselves out there? Because I think a lot of people want to be very humble, but are scared and is scared to do it. So, what would you suggest to folks who are like that?
And I'm such a straight shooter, Dr. Ramon. Like, I'm such a straight shooter. And I tell people, I say humility is not denying your greatness. Like, it's not denying your greatness, it's knowing who your greatness comes from, right? So that's number one. Number two is every time that you allow fear to hold you back, I want you to think about you being the doctor in an operating room, right? And you are a cardiologist. You know that you have a patient on the table, and all you have to do is go in and perform their surgery. You have the skills, you've been doing it for years, but you sit there with your arms folded.
Hmm.
I said, so this is exactly how you look when you say, well, I know I have the skills, I have the education, I know that I can change lives, but you are the doctor that's standing in the operating room, allowing that patient to lay on the table and die
Hmm.
because you did not use the skills that you had. You did not tell anyone about the skills that you had, right? So I think one of the things that I help them to understand is how important it is for them to do what they've been purposed to do, and how many people are stuck because they're not making that move. And then also reminding them, I take them through a process to literally look at the value that they have. Like, I take them through the process, look at what this has cost you, right? You've been doing this for how many years? You went to school for how many years? How much did that education cost you? So you mean to tell me that what you're going to pour into them is not worth this amount, right? And um, reminding them also of the importance of being in a community where they can continuously be cultivated,
Yeah.
and also letting them know that they are not alone. Like, I was there, right? But the only way that you're really going to do it is to do it. Like, there's no other way around it. Like, there's no prayer you can pray. There's no, the only way to do it is to do it. And I think that as those of us who are in the position of coaches, mentors, strategists, or what have you, that if we consistently show up and be the example for them, then at some point in time they will get the courage,
Yeah.
to do it.
So let me ask you this, because as a business, someone who helps folks with marketing, I would say it's a crowded space, right? And so a lot of people are helping people. So, and I know a lot of my other folks that might be listening are in a space that might be saturated to
Mhm.
an extent. Like, how do you stand out amongst everyone else that does something maybe not similar, but in the same lane? So what
Mhm.
are some strategies that have helped you to kind of make sure that you stood out and got the clients that you wanted to attract?
One thing that I tell people is that there's no oversaturated market. You just need to know how to stand out in the market so that
Mhm.
people can find you. And how do you do that? By being different. That's literally the key, right? Because we are wired to notice what's different first. If we go into a room and there are there are 100 pink flowers on the wall, we're going to notice the yellow one.
Right.
We're like, oh, there's the yellow one, right? And I think when we understand that our difference is not the problem, but it's the solution, then we will stop trying to fit in, and we will be okay with owning who we are and operating that way. So, how do you stand out in a saturated market? By being your authentic self, by saying what you say, believing what you believe, standing on it. We live in a world where hustle culture is the stamp of approval. It's
Yeah.
the, you know, no sleep mentality, sacrifice everything, including yourself, your marriage, your, whatever. Like, we live in a culture. I don't subscribe to that. My actual trademark tagline is hang up the hustle, because rest is the new revenue. I don't teach people to hustle because I believe that you can build your business around your life, and you can make just as much money as you want to when you decide that you can, by doing it your way, right? I think that we allow the world to dictate what's possible, but when we choose to say, yeah, it may not have worked for you,
Yeah.
but it's going to work for me, right? And so that's how I teach them, like I said, how to stand out is really by getting them to own and really like accept and love and fall in love with like who they are. Like, if you know that you don't use correct grammar 100% of the time, show up like that in your brand. You get what I'm saying?
Right, right,
Like,
right.
if you go to my page, you're going to see every facet of me. You're going to see Dr. Shamieka. You're going to see Dr. Dean. You're going to see Shamieka. You're going to see Mika. You're going to see all of that. You're going to laugh. You're going to get marketing strategy. You're going to see me posting about my little glam princesses and my children. You're going to see me telling you the truth about what I believe about what God says. You're going to get all of that, right? Because your audience is not one person. Your audience is a group of people, and they're going to connect to the different parts of you.
Facts.
So the totality of who you are, represent that to the world. But when you find yourself being ashamed of that and you're trying to conform to what's comfortable to the people around you, that is when you start to look and sound like everyone else. So your audience cannot find you.
Yeah, that's so important. So I hope folks are really realizing that the difference is, your difference is what can set you apart from everybody else.
It's the
It's so
solution.
important. Yeah, because in my space, a lot of folks are, academics, college professors, but they don't do this part, online, like really
Mhm.
promoting their work, talking to folks like yourself. Like, this is interesting, just to hear your journey and perspective. And one thing you mentioned that I want to come back to is about this hustle culture, and
Mhm.
how, you saying your business where you're teaching your clients about how to like really automate this process so that they can
Mhm.
work less but make more. So can you talk a bit about like your strategy about how do you help your clients experience that success, but not, hustling themselves into the ground?
Yeah, so we have what I created. It's called the 90-10 formula, right? So how can we automate 90% of your sales and your process so that you only have to work 10% of the time? Like, that is the formula that we use to structure your business. So when we are identifying your signature system within your business and how you're going to build your business to generate your funds, your income, we look at every intricate part of that. We look at every step to identify what part of this can be automated that doesn't take out the human, side of it, like those
Mhm.
touch points that people need to still know that they're not just a transaction to you,
Yeah.
right? So how do we do that? How do we still create the customer experience and still have the automation plan as well? So that includes going through your onboarding and offboarding process. That includes how we set up and structure how you're going to serve your clients, right? In what way are you going to serve them? Okay, so how much of this can we take away this 90% so that you only have to show up 10% of the time? Now, the reason I came up with this formula, I love Jesus, right?
Uh-huh.
So I say if I only have to give God 10% of my time, then I should only have to give people 10% of my time, right?
Mhm.
So I want to be able to, not in a selfish way, but how can I serve you the best,
Yeah.
right? By showing up in that vein. Because if I'm serving 90% of the time, what I give you is not going to be the best of me, right? It's just going to be the rest of me. So again, we help them to first develop a signature system. So that signature system is the systematic process that they're going to use to get clients and meet their income goals. We break that system down, and now what part of this can we automate up to 90% of this? How can we automate that so that you're only showing up 10% of the time? So that may mean a part of that automation may mean that you're going to have to implement, of course, certain software,
Yeah.
right? You're going to have to implement a different way of attracting your leads. And it also means that a part of your automation plan means that you may have to hire some help. You get what I'm saying? So,
Thanks.
but when we have a process of how you can generate the revenue, hiring help is not going to be a problem. So
Yeah.
that's how we do that.
Yeah, that's so important because I know as I've grown in business, like the first thing, I got to a point where I maxed myself out. It was like I can't do it.
Mhm.
Literally, I got to bring people on to help, and I was able to expand and grow. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I think for a lot of folks, particularly in higher ed, is this idea that you have to do all the work, and
No.
I really want folks, particularly my faculty members who are newer. The research process. Of course, you need some solo writing of yourself, but then you
Mhm.
should be building a research team and
Mhm.
collaborating to do that. Because, like you said, you want to do less with more. So sometimes you got to bring on people to help with that. So I think this is
Exactly. And hard work is, I think we have to put in work, but if we have the belief system that takes hard work to make money, we're only going to make money when we're working hard,
that's a fact.
right? So money, it doesn't take hard work to make money because money is supposed to work hard for me, right? When I have the mindset that it takes hard work to make money, then money has become my ruler, and it's not. Money is not going to control me, but I put money in position and I tell it what to do, right? So money, you work hard. I'm going to be easy over here, right? So I think, again, but that's a mindset, a mindset shift, because for as long as I can remember, I was always taught, you got to work hard, you got to hustle, if you really want it, you got, all of those things. And I was just like, I don't really like to work that hard, like, and I decided that I'm not going to be, that's not my belief system. Belief systems become birthing systems. I chose to believe differently so that I could birth differently. And so we have to understand we have the power to choose what we believe, right? And so if that doesn't align with the lifestyle that you want, why are you adopting that belief system?
That's so true. And like recently, yesterday I did another interview for the episode with Dr. Jamisha McIver Bennett, and she's in the real estate space. And so she talked about the same mindset. Like, look, I need my money working for me. I'm tired of working hard for it. So I need to
Mhm.
figure out what's the best way that I can be very passive to make my money. And so
Mhm.
I think it's a mindset shift that a lot of folks don't have, but did you always have this, or have you just developed it over time? Like, what did that look like? Because I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, how do I make that switch?
Mhm. So I was taught that, but there was always something in me that just didn't agree
Yeah.
with it. But for many years I adopted it, and so I was hustling. And so the moment of transformation for me, what changed the trajectory of the way that I did business, is when I was hustling, to get to the next client. And my son, who was 8 years old at the time, and he walked in and he was like, "Mama, mama." And I said, "What, boy? I'm busy." Right. And he said, "I know you're always busy."
Mm,
That was it. You know, and the sad part about that is that when I did take the time to actually look up at him, he had tears in his eyes,
mm,
because he was trying to tell me that he had been being bullied at school, but I was hustling. I was trying to get to the next client. I was trying to get to the money. So it was that day I said, if this is how I have to get it, I'll just go work for someone else.
Mm.
Because it's not worth that level of sacrifice is not worth it for me. And that comes back to what we were talking about earlier. What's priority to you?
Yeah.
That was priority to me. And so that's when I learned like there's got to be a different way. And if we decide that there is a different way, then we will find the solution to do it differently.
That's so true. I'm glad you said that, because there's a lot of folks in my space and who are college professors that are burning out and giving everyone or everything all of themselves, but not prioritizing home. It's like you have a great outward life, like it looks like all the accolades, but then home is a mess.
A mess.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people are trying to figure out how to balance the two. But like you said, it's about priorities and structuring your life in a way that you can do everything that you want to do. So,
and don't believe that when people say that you can't have it all. That's their belief system. That's their story. It doesn't have to be yours. It's only yours if you believe it.
So I definitely, I love that. And so I want to transition a little bit to, you've been helping, a lot of your clients, helping folks. Now you have your new book, Market Like a Mogul. So if you can, I would love to hear more about your book and, how you came to writing this book and what's the book about for our audience.
Yeah. So I really wanted to do Market Like a Mogul because my goal was to help the everyday entrepreneur learn how to market like a mogul so that they can get out of that place of burnout. So they can get out of that place of hustle, so that, I'm a mom, and so that those women would no longer have to choose between building this business or being present in the lives of their children. Right. And so it's all about strategy. It's about, creating those automation plans. And I wanted to help those people stand out in saturated markets. I wanted to help you go from overlooked to overbooked, from mediocre marketing to marketing like a mogul. And what I realized, as I was saying earlier, is that how I wanted to be different in the marketing industry is I wanted to approach marketing from a mindset perspective, mindset first, and then strategy. And so, because what I was realizing is that people were investing in a lot of strategy, but they were still stuck. So why were they stuck? Because they hadn't done the mindset work. So how am I going to be different in the marketing industry? I'm going to teach you marketing from a mindset perspective. And so it changed the game. It changed the game.
No, that's great. So I hope folks, where can folks grab your book too? Where can they find your book online?
It's on my site, shamiekadean.com, if you want an autographed copy. And then if you would like to purchase the ebook version, you can get that on amazon.com.
Perfect. And we'll have that in the notes for folks to grab as well. So, you have your book, things are going well with the book process. Actually, real quick though, I do want to touch on the book. Why should every person who is in the entrepreneurial space have a book? Because I think there's a commonality between people who do well in the books, myself included. So I want to know, what is it about the book that helps people really position themselves?
Well, because the book gives you an opportunity to expand your expertise in a way that you're actually educating people on a process. You're able to bring in contrary, viewpoints, and it also positions you as an expert in your industry, because everyone's just not writing a book, right? Every book doesn't transform lives. But when you write that book, it really does position you. It kind of pushes you up to, to the top of experts that people need to listen to. They need to stop and listen to you, because you've taken the time to take your years of experience and put it in a book in a way that it can educate people. It can help them to expand internally. It can help them to expand in their business and things like that. And that book is also going to get you into other rooms, and it can serve as your lead magnet. So that's the quickest way for people to kind of get to know about you. And it also generates what I call lucrative leads, which are leads that you can convert, with little to little convincing as possible, because if they're investing in your books, they already have a mindset to invest. So a lot of that trying to convince them why they need to invest, it removes that bottom layer, of the know, and trust factor. So those are just some of the ways that book sets you apart. It helps people to see kind of how you think differently, and how you do stuff. And people can connect with you when they read things that you've written. It just builds a different type of connection.
Yeah, and one thing I do love about the book, just writing a book, is it's passive.
It's passive.
you market, but then the checks, like I get Amazon checks, people buy it in Europe, and I
every
get
month.
Euro checks. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I didn't, one thing
Every
I
month.
created one time, it could sell forever.
Yeah, it continues. It's another one of those gifts that keeps on giving. Because people are going buy your book first just to kind of see what you're about. So it doesn't cost them a whole lot, but it's enough for them to say, let me see what this person is about, and you don't have to convince them to buy it.
No, that's great. And so, you have your book Market Like a Mogul, but then you also have your upcoming event, Market Like a Mogul Live. So can you talk about the event? Who's it for?
Mhm.
What's going to be covered? Like all the particulars so folks know and can check it out.
Absolutely. So, Market Like a Mogul, the takeover is June 16th through 18th in Atlanta, Georgia, and so it is for that educator, it is for that accountant, it's for the salon owner, it's for that expert who has the experience. They need to figure out how they can take that expertise, package it into a signature program, and have a six-figure launch. That's who that's for. So it's for the person that who also, they want to not only have the income, but they want to make more impact, right? And they want to do this in a massive way, in a greater at a greater capacity. It's for the person that is tired of hustling. They burn out. They're tired of their income potential being tapped. They're tired of being the bottleneck in their business. They want residual revenue. They want passive profit. So it is for that individual that says, you know what, I've been doing this my way for far too
Yeah.
long, right? I want to get some of that passive profit and be able to make the impact at the same time. It's for the person that wants to take their time back. They want to spend more time with their children. They want to spend more time with their spouse, but they don't want their income to suffer as a result of that. So it's for that person.
Cool. And where can they learn more and buy a ticket and do all the particulars to come to the event?
ShamiekaDean.com. Just go to ShamiekaDean.com and you can hop on our wait list. And it's, you'll be the first to get the benefits of being on that wait list. So,
All right, perfect. Well, if you can, let the folks know, more about where they can find you online, how they can connect with you, and stay up to what you got going on as we wrap up.
awesome. So I'm on all social media platforms as Shamieka Dean or Dr. Shamieka Dean on Instagram, Dr. Shamieka Dean on Facebook. I try to keep it simple across the board. My website is ShamiekaDean.com.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Dean. I'm going to put you behind the scenes for a second. We'll wrap up the show, and then we'll catch up in a second.
All
But thank
right.
you
Sounds
so much.
good. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Done Dissertation Office Hours. I'm your host, Dr. Ramon Goings, founder of Done Dissertation, where we demystify the dissertation process so that you, the doctoral student, can write and defend your dissertation in 1 year or less. For all my doctoral students who are watching this episode, please text me at hashtag free to 301-701-2466 to grab a 10 strategies to complete your dissertation checklist. I know a lot of you all have been going through the dissertation process, trying to figure out what's next. And at the Done Dissertation, we're here to help you not only finish your dissertation, but then learn how to leverage your doctorate. So make sure that you keep up with us. And if you want to learn more about what we have going on, visit our website at www.thedonedissertation.com. And I look forward to seeing you all next time on another episode of Done Dissertation